Violence and abuse are so prevalent in our society. It's as though you can't go through a day without reading or seeing, watching, whatever it is, some mode of violence or abuse, whether it's towards women, children, or even men. And it's one of those, it's very discouraging, especially when we find that we have instances of violence and abuse, even within our church. I guess it's scary because as people who are supposed to know and love our Savior, we are supposed to care about each other, and that love seems to be lacking. And I suppose for me it becomes very personal because of a very close person to me. She's been going through a series of abuse, physical, then more emotional, and then back to physical and emotional. And during lockdown, this particular friend, they had an incident at their home. Just to summarize the story, he physically abused her, left her in the house, disappeared to goodness knows where. And she was stuck in the home with nowhere to go, and, she couldn't get out. The house had been locked and everything. And so she managed to call me to let me know what was happening. And she was just asking that I figure out a number to call for the police and stuff. And so we had been searching and searching, you keep trying to call the local police stations. No one seemed to be picking up, and we couldn't understand what was going on. And so while we were still figuring out what to actually do, she asked me to call our minister. Actually, it was 2 ministers that she asked me to call. Just to see, what sort of help she could actually get. So I called our church pastor, and I just explained the situation to him, and I don't know, I felt like there was just some sense of disconnect, because what stood out to me at the end of that conversation was him saying to me that, I should tell her he is praying for her. So my immediate reaction was, okay, oh, so unexpected. And I guess it picked up that I was rather surprised, because I was like, okay, just give me a few minutes. I will call you back. I was like, okay. I called the second minister, and he told me to call the emergency number 10111. And he was like, so maybe find out if there's someone near there who can actually go and see her. Okay, so by the end of these 2 calls, I cannot even begin to express how I felt. Because it felt like my heart was being torn in two. It felt like no one really cared. Okay, I could just imagine myself. I am locked in the house. I've just been beaten up, and my church family, my pastors, are unable to take time to, I don't know if it's calling an elder or a deacon or something. I've been locked in a house. I've been beaten up. Did no one care enough to come and, make sure I'm okay? And I mean, keep in mind that this is my friend and the husband, both churchgoers. So it's not like some random people that you don't know. So the first pastor did call me back, and he was like, oh, you know what, maybe talk to the security people in their estate, and maybe they can get you a direct line to the police or something. This is a domestic sort of issue, so you never really know what you can expect, and what. I just let her know that I can call her if she wants me to call her and have a chat with her. At the end of that second conversation, I really felt like I'm just so totally done with this. This cannot be how we are supposed to function. And eventually she did manage to get through to 10111. The police came. From what I now know, they did not follow protocol. And they basically left her in the house, still locked in, until husband came back and unlocked and everything, and then took her through a whole traumatic session after that, and literally made her give up communication with several of us who were apparently trying to be helpful. And he threatened her, if you think you're going to go to the police or whatever it is, I'm going to kick you out of here, and yeah, we'll see what happens with you. So we prayed that whole night, me and other friends, some of her friends, people from church. And the next day, she indicated that she was willing to go and report this. And she actually had reported it when she called the police, but now she was willing to go and get a restraining order. And we went to do that. And I must say, just this whole incident really opened up my eyes to the fact that many women are stuck in situations because they do not know the options that they have. And I want to really say, our previous pastor, before, when we had talked about the same lady again, he was on fire about the whole thing. He gave me the phone number of a person at the conference who could help, and he really wanted to move, but she was at that point where she wasn't really ready to do anything about it. So I remembered that there was this number, and the next day, first thing in the morning, I called this lady at the conference, and she was able to really talk. She gave me the response that we needed. She was able to direct me to someone who is from our church who also works at the police, and she gave us options, and we were able to communicate. My friend was able to communicate with this lady and just find out what's going on. And there was another gentleman at church also. He was also involved with the police. He was also able to give us options, and we were able to do the things that we managed to do because there were people who cared enough to talk to us and to actually help us understand what the law says and what options women have when they're in such situations. And, for me, I guess the worst part of this is the next day now, I'm being called again by the pastor, and yeah, guess what? He doesn't even remember the name. Oh, that lady, from yesterday, And I'm telling him, no, I actually managed to get information, and the lady from church was with the police and stuff. And it's like, oh, her. Oh, yeah, I know her, actually. Yeah, she's quite good. And I actually asked him, so you knew there was this person and you couldn't give me this information when I actually needed it? And the response was no. He overlooked it in the heat of the moment. He forgot about it. So I know this is such a long monologue, really, but when I read all the daily readings that are sent out about the responses that our church is supposed to have, the responses our pastors should have in such situations, I cannot feel... I can't help but feel let down. We are not doing enough. We are not protecting the vulnerable in our society. Our pastors, I don't know whether are these things done only in Northern America? Do we not care here? Is it that there's so much violence in our country? It's not something that we take seriously. Our elders, we've got people who know these things are happening. Why does no one say anything? I pray for my friend each and every day. And I'm glad that God enabled her to have the strength to go through this process, to be able to get that court order, to be able to have a new lease on life. The fact that she had options, the fact that she had support, they all made a difference. And I'm really hoping, that this whole ended now hashtag should not be something that's done at the end of each year on Red Sabbath. We are supposed to be God's hands, helping those who are vulnerable, and we seem to fall far short of that. So as we start on the new year, I really hope we take time to think about those who need our help, and that we can open ministries that are able to touch the lives of others. Thank you.